All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm sorry about all that. We made up for not having technical issues today by having all the technical issues today. So that said, we've got Elfinout here with Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Elfinout, go ahead and take it away.
What is up, everybody? As was said, I'm Elfinout. Hi, everyone. This is Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, a unique take on the Mortal Kombat title. Today we're going to be running any percent. The reason why is because any percent's kind of my pet project. It has been for about the past year and a half now. I've been obsessed with the game and the category. To kind of give you like an idea, the world record when I started was around 25 minutes, and now it sits around 17 and a half minutes. So a lot of progression, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. So I figured if I get to run a game once, might as well make it special. With it being any percent, even though we have 4 lovely characters to choose from, only one of them matters, and that's going to be Kung Lao. And we're going to do normal difficulty because even though hard is more rewarding, it's not necessarily marathon safe. And time will start whenever I hit the difficulty. So whenever I say go, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So any percent is kind of high action. We're gonna get started right out the gate, and we're gonna start by skipping this cutscene as soon as possible. Since we're playing real hardware, we don't get access to Kung Lao until about 29 seconds into the run, thanks to cutscenes. And most of the game is actually cutscenes in this category since it is so short. Load screens and cutscenes are our enemy. But Raiden would like us to pick up a whole bunch of tutorials and everything like that. But since we're trying to save the world, we are going to get started right away. And with that, we're going to do some precise tricks called undermapping and infinite kicking. I don't know how precise these tricks are because I don't know how to measure stuff like frames and everything like that. And we're having a little bit of trouble here. Just 1 second. Okay. Oh no, it didn't let me under. So we're going to try to line up on a very precise angle against this fire. And it's going to let us under one of these days. It's not going to. So the thing with real hardware is because it's a little bit junkier than something like emulator, not anything against real hardware, it just runs a little bit not as smooth. Sometimes the ground does not want to let you under. And right now we are seeing that. We finally got out. And with that, we're going to make our way to the back. With infinite kicking, there are 3 variations. Luckily, throughout the run, we do get to see all 3. The first one we use is the slow variation, which helps us get under the map. This one here is the quick attack variation, which allows us to move through the air very fast, although the mashing rhythm is pretty precise to be fast, and it's very, very easy to drop the rhythm. We're going to dodge through some spikes here. And in this room, we're going to see a little bit more infinite kicking. We use this to skip a cutscene with Johnny Cage. Because Johnny is not our friend in this run, he actually tends to screw us over quite a bit. And we also skip a cutscene with Reptile because we don't even want to get our hopes up. We don't see Reptile in any percent, so we're not going to get him involved. Now on to the Fatality Room. Now Fatality is the defining feature of Mortal Kombat. You can't have one without the other. And that red coin right there shows us how to do a fatality, and we don't really want to. Now, that's not saying we won't see fatalities, because we will see 3, but we just don't need that coin to do it. Instead, we're going to kick to the back of the room here, and now to set up for the hardest trick in the run currently. We need to set up on a very particular line, and then we're going to try to point... Ooh, we got it. Okay, so we needed to point at just about the corner of the door, punch, and then press X a pixel off the platform, but not yet counting as in the air. So very precise. And then we're just going to yeet this Oni through a wall. Don't need him. And we're going to make our way through. There is a lot of enemies in this run. However, we don't actually interact with that many. And the worst enemy is actually in the next area. Tark Hottons are terrible. But here we get some Onis blown up by rocks. And this is supposed to be a tutorial on how to kill bosses and use weapons. We also get long jump, which in all medallions is the best form of movement, but it's actually slower to get it in this run. We're gonna skip over it and go to this bridge. This teaches us about blocking and masked guards, but once again, we don't really need it. Masked guards are interesting in that they don't actually, oh no. Okay, hang on. There we go. So masked guards, they don't activate their like aggro for about 2 seconds after they spawn. So even though we're supposed to block their attack and then throw them, we can actually just throw them before they respond. But I got unlucky with the angle on the second one. So now on to Wuxi 1. The route that you're about to see is pretty new. It was shown to me by two runners, Jeffo and Ozzy, who've done a lot of co-op work. They've absolutely destroyed the game. But with long jump skip, this route became a necessity. Normally we have to go through and knock down a bunch of cannonballs. We have to blow up a bunch of barricades, and we have to kill a couple of like key opponents and things like that to unlock all these puzzles. But instead, we are going to skip all that by taking a infinite kick line above cutscene triggers, above key event points, and out of the map. Everything in this game is bounded by an invisible wall. You can kind of see us getting stuck right there on it. And everything is bigger than it seems. Like even the bridge down here has a wall that goes up about 12 Kung Laos. So thankfully, as long as we can get height, especially with the faster variation of this move, we can absolutely schmoove and kick to our goal, which is faster than doing it normally. However, it is absolutely torture on the thumb. But we got through it, no problem. And now we're on to Wuxi 2. So this is why Johnny isn't our friend. Here we have to deal with 3 Tarkatans, and Johnny is supposed to shadow kick one of them out of the way early. However, he normally doesn't, and shadow kicks him into the area we're trying to skip. And when there's a Tarkatan in our area, since they're the most annoying enemy, we're not going to have an easy time getting out. But Johnny can be our friend. And kick him. Oh, he did kick him. Awesome. Okay. Ooh. We're going to use this archway because for some reason, certain geometry in the game can shove Kung Lao down further. That archway does a really good job of it. And then up here, we're going to get to see the third variation of the infinite kick. This is the R2 variation, which is an air grab. And what it does is it helps us launch above certain slopes. So normally we'd have to rely on our infinite kick to kind of put us above that area just out of luck. But instead we can use the R2 variation, and it just smooth as butter puts us on top. And then we have a little bit more movement in this next area. And this really showcases a lot of slide walking, which is the optimal ground movement since we don't have long jump. Anytime we do a running quick attack, we will get a burst of speed. And then we do basically the equivalent of bunny hopping to conserve that speed into another ground slide. And then more cutscenes. But we are on our way to Portal, which is kind of the hub area for this game. You have portals that lead to a bunch of reimagined MK2 maps, a bunch of like Living Forest, Evil Monastery. We're not going to see any of that in this run. Instead, we're going to go straight to the tournament victory door, which I will talk a little bit more about here in just a second. But we are going to pull a big U-turn right here and go down to this blue portal and jump on it. So normally, you're supposed to get 5 medallions, and this takes place by beating 5 major bosses throughout the game, going to all these different areas and stuff like that, to open up the door you see on screen. However, we're Kung Lao, we don't need that. We're going to slide kick that Shadow Priest right there. It is RNG for my serotonin levels, and I do that almost every run I can. And then we are going to utilize more backflipping. That didn't let us under. We're going to try to use this skull. It is right next to a notch in the wall, which tends to help push Kung Lao down. Ooh, did we get it? Yes. Okay, awesome. And then we're going to kick towards the portal. Now that aura on the right is an active fire and can burn Kung Lao. It has lost me many blindfolded runs. It is absolutely a working fire and will stun lock you all the way down to the death plane. But we kicked beside it and all the way to portal. And you'll notice we weren't in bounds, yet we were still able to dive kick into that. And that's because portals work incredibly weird in that as long as your hitbox touches the exit in any way, shape, or form, it will count as you exiting that area. And now we're on to Foundry. Here we get to see the first test your mites of the run. And we also get to see if this Oni's going to tackle me. And he doesn't, which is awesome. So if you're familiar with Mortal Kombat, you're familiar with test your mites. These are another kind of like defining feature of the older games. And it's a spam fest. That's all it is. And it says that you can only spam X. However, test your mites in Shaolin Monks accept all action buttons. So X, square, circle, triangle. Every input of each of them counts as an input for test your might. So spamming all four makes it really fast. Then we have another one at the end of this hallway. And we are going to try to complete this test your might quick enough to hit another cycle. There we go. And so now that we did this fast enough, we should skirt out just under the first wrecking ball. Yeah, just like that. And that only works if you get a 7 on the test your might. If you get a 6, you're just a tad too slow. So now we're moving to kind of the end area where we need to get like the specially crafted axe and everything. It's not all that special, but it is necessary. So to get that, we're going to ponder life by staring at this door and trying to use it to push us under. There are better places to get out of the map in this room. However, the floor is covered by lava, like right under the barrier. And so there's only very precise places that we can get out of bounds and not be backed above ground. And so now all we need to do is infinite kick to this pipe that exists out of bounds. Do another jump instead of infinite kicks. And then we're going to land on this platform that the devs made far too long and get our axe. So this is the third and final test your might. Luckily, it's pretty easy. What's supposed to happen is you pick up this axe and fight a couple enemies, but we actually leave before the enemies spawn, so really it's just a fetch quest. And on this one, I have gotten pretty okay 5s, but never a 6. So, challenge to anyone out there who thinks they're a good spammer. If you can play this game and get either a 8 on the first 2 test your mites or a 7 on, or no, not a 7, a 6 on that one, I will concede that you are better at this game than me. Because it is, oh, I've tried. I've spent hours spamming. But we got our special axe, so we're on to the final area, Shao Kahn's arena. And the reason we needed the axe is because on a load screen you'll see in just a second, you'll see 2 massive crystals. And the game says that the only way to break these crystals is to have this diamond axe. However, that's not true. Any 2-handed weapon will cause the crystals to break. And unfortunately, we have to have the crystals to break. So we have to have this axe. There's ways to get behind the door without breaking the crystals. However, until you defeat the enemies that spawn, the exit trigger doesn't exist. And so we are left with this terrible scenario where we watch awful cutscenes of crystals breaking. Once again, if anyone can find a way to skip this, I will. It's a dream. So these enemies spawn, but their hitboxes don't for a couple seconds. So we have to wait for them to actually exist. And then we are going to try to kill all of them in the air, or at least kill them using launch attacks. The reason is because the game doesn't actually care when the enemies die. They care whenever their hitboxes disappear, which only happen when their body disappears. Okay. They're being awful for me right now. So certain animations despawn enemies faster. Like that one was a pretty bad one because it'll take a second. But once all the bodies disappear, the door finally opens and we are on the way to Shao Kahn's arena. Once again, if you're familiar with...
Hold on. Pause. Sorry.
Was that pause for me?
Sorry, we're trying to fix something and accidentally wound up putting the wrong on screen. So, hang on 1 second. Okay, all right.
Okay, ready.
You're
Use the
back on
bathroom,
screen.
Mega Man helmets.
I pause timer. Go ahead and give us
okay,
countdown.
bathroom, Mega Man
and then,
helmets,
we'll
everything
restart.
I think is good.
Okay. Hang on. I'm so sorry. Yeah, we're gonna pause one more time. Sorry. Okay. I'm so sorry. We are back working.
All good.
We're working through some slight technical difficulties. So, whenever you're ready, again.
All right. I'll be loading back into that save file, so I'll give a countdown whenever we get back to the screen.
Okay.
But for some reason, the game doesn't let you beat it in one sitting. So in 3, 2, 1, go. But the way it works is that for some reason there is some flag or trigger within the game that just is not met without save quitting. And so if we play real hardware, only as Kung Lao, none of the other characters have to save quit as far as I know. Only Kung Lao, you gotta dip and come on back. But then we get to mess around with Boss Rush. Now in Boss Rush, we fight Shang Tsung, Kentaro, and Shao Kahn in order. For Shang Tsung, we really want what's called Morphless Shang Tsung. And to do that, we're going to try to get his AI to get a little confused at the start so he doesn't immediately transform. And we're going to do that by teleporting behind him. Oh, we missed it. You're supposed to launch kick on the frame you come up and then slide kick him into the wall. Instead, we're going to go with the backup strat where we just spam slam him into the corner here. Now, normally, bosses in this game have a built-in counter mechanic. Well, they will combo break you if you hit them 5 or more times. However, because spam slams weren't meant to be reproduced like this, they don't ever tick up the counter meter. So you never have to worry about the boss. As long as you can get him on the ground like this, the boss will never try to counter break you. So we're going to let him change back to Shang Tsung and finish out the fight. You can only fatality him during his Shang Tsung form, so we always have to wait for that transformation no matter what. And then the first fatality of the run. Even though we didn't get the coin and technically don't have fatality meter, which is necessary, we can bypass it and show that we're worthy anyway. Unfortunately, these cutscenes are not skippable. The one after this is. The fatalities themselves, you gotta watch all the way through. And up next is Kentaro. So Kentaro's biggest thing is identifying which pattern he's in the very beginning. Okay, so he's in the walking pattern, which means he doesn't shoot a fireball. So we can immediately aggress on him and start using special launches to stagger him. Any big boss has a stagger mechanic. Not all of them are completely solved. However, Kentaro can usually be destroyed with just special launches. And you'll notice that whenever I power slam, sometimes he will get hit twice. And that's because bosses that are considered big bosses have a hitbox that is large enough to be hit 2 times. And then our second fatality of the run. And the biggest thing is we need to try to get to this point with as much health as possible. Even though most of the bosses are solved, especially Phase 1 Shao Kahn, which hopefully we'll get here in a second. Phase 2 Shao Kahn is far from being solved. He is aggressive as all get out. He doesn't stagger, and he deals incredible damage with amazing combo potential. So we have to get to him with as much health as possible, and then the only real strat is to go hard. But we're going to try to show off the Phase 1 Shao Kahn lock here. We don't want early charge or fireball, which we don't get either. And now we get him in a set of sequences where his stagger meter is always being procced. He technically gets iframes between each of these, but thankfully they exist just fast enough for us to get most of the hits in. There we go. All right, now we're on to Phase 2. This is the hard one. Ooh, okay, we get one of the more docile Shao Kahns, which is nice. And then we have 13 seconds till he starts his spin phase. Each of these is kind of counted as a cycle. And we always try to kill Shao Kahn within the first, or at least after the first spin cycle. Which we're not doing too bad here. Oh, he did charge us. And time will be on the final fatality input, which is right now. And that's Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. That
Excellent.
was not as bad as I thought. The room 1 was a little rusty, but we got there. We defended Earthrealm as well as we could, even though this isn't canon. And we made it in the end. But yeah, that is Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks.
I hit stop on the timer and it keeps going. Today's just the day for technical difficulties, but
it happens.
Excellent run.
Thank you.
Wait, come on. Okay, I'll just hit pause on it. Whatever. All right. Well, so where can people go if they want to learn about this game?
So we have, there's a couple guides on speedrun.com. I have several tutorials on my YouTube, as well as speedrun a speedrun explain style format that kind of gives details behind routing choices, different mechanics, things like that. There's also a new website coming up, Speedrunner Academy, that I'm working on an ambassador page for. So there's going to be a lot of guides up on that. I don't know when the website actually goes live, but once it does, it will have the majority of like every archive strat that we know of. And then of course, just speedrun.com, watching the world records. Most of this stuff is kind of self-explanatory, but anything like that. And then also the Discord. We only really have a general Discord for the Mortal Kombat community, but the Mortal Kombat community as a whole is very welcoming. They're awesome people, and they absolutely love to help newcomers with any Mortal Kombat game, ranging from retro to, modern titles. So if you can find someone in the community and ask a question, they'll either give you a link or another person who can give you anything you need.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you again for the run. Thank you for bearing with some of the technical difficulties that we had. I'm sorry about that. But, it's just the figuring everything out. Yeah. Well, from One-and-Done-athon, as for tradition, we say goodbye forever, Elfinout.
Goodbye forever, One-and-Done-athon in chat. I hope it was enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing more Mortal Kombat stuff in the future. So, as some of you may have seen, some of you astute viewers, the next game is Mega Man Unlimited. So we're going to go to a quick break. We've got it pretty much set up, and then we'll be right back.